We've done a lot of stuff on dieting and health on the show, and we talked a lot about aspartame. But sugar, maybe Mike Bloomberg was right. A new study in the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, has said that sugar is doing more damage to our bodies than we originally thought. Added sugars, according to most experts, are far more harmful to our bodies than naturally occurring sugars. This is when you put a spoonful of sugar in something as opposed to eating an orange or something like that. The US government hasn't issued a dietary limit for added sugars like it has for calories, fat, sodium, etc. That's why when you have a Coke and it has however much sugar in it, it's literally like 20 spoonfuls, and they're allowed to do that. And sugar is classified by the FDA as generally safe, which allows manufacturers to add unlimited amounts of any food. So it's interesting because America, we sort of got off sugar a couple of years ago, and everybody was doing the diet soda thing. And then in the last 2 years, diet soda has disappeared because of all the chemicals. Is this just obvious stuff that we should all know that you should not be adding sugar?
Yeah, and 1 can of soda is twice or 3 times as much as the sugar you should. 1 can of soda is twice or 3 times as much as sugar.
I mean,
I
think it's literally like 20 spoonfuls of sugar. Let's not forget it's high fructose corn syrup, which I know we've talked about 1,000 times.
Which is why the FDA also is not coming out against it the way they do for fats and other things, because we put this corn syrup in so many different things. Our farmers are so involved in using corn instead of using regular sugar that if the FDA were to suddenly come out and say, look, sugar is bad for you, which it is, which has pretty much been proven in every single way, then you'd have a panic and farmers would lose money.
And the corn industry is highly subsidized.
Right?
It's hugely subsidized.
Yeah. So you have a problem there with both like the government saying that we support it by subsidizing it, and at the same time, if they say that it's bad for you, you'll have a mass panic in this country and no one knows what to do themselves. But sugar makes you sick, it makes you fat, it makes people have headaches, it makes you tired. I mean, who doesn't know this by now?
Yeah, so what is the alternative to this? Because are you a sugar guy? If you had a Coke and a Diet Coke in front of you, what do you do?
I'm a non-soda guy.
Non-soda.
Yeah, I have a doctor that said, as far as people that are smoking, drinking alcohol, that soda is probably the worst thing you can do for your body.
So as I said before, was Bloomberg right? I lived in New York City at the time during the ban. He wanted the big ban, and he was even pushing it literally as he was being pushed out of Gracie Mansion. But was he right?
Now, Bloomberg was absolutely wrong by making a sugar ban, because we live in the United States of America, and in America, people should be free to choose. I think the biggest problem is that people don't take personal responsibility for themselves, so everyone wants the FDA to ban something or the government to say something's not good for you. Look, we need to be presented with the information. So the FDA should be giving us clear information about what their studies have found and maybe help us with some guidelines, but it's not up to individual cities or people to ban things that aren't of immediate imminent danger. Instead, give us the info and let people decide.
Right, so I'm on board that, and that's why I was against it.
Right. Then don't give me the information because I don't want to see it.
That is not what we're doing at the Creation Museum. But I'm on board that idea that we should have the freedom to do whatever we want. If you want to buy a big-ass soda at 7-Eleven, you should be allowed to. But isn't there partly an issue there that people are just sort of dumb? Not only people are kind of dumb, but they don't want to know what the truth is, and they're uneducated. And how would they even get the information? Like, yeah, they can teach you something in grade school about what the FDA is saying about.
What you eat. They taught us that years, and then that kind of evaporates from our knowledge.
Right. So that lasts till what? About 5th grade, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
it could almost be Darwinian at this point. I'm so over it. At this point, I'm like, look, if people want to drink soda and be fat and be unhappy and be lazy and be depressed and then self-medicate themselves with all the pharmaceutical drugs to take care of all the problems they've caused by eating food that isn't good and not exercise, God bless you.
Oh, I like this theory.
I'm serious. I think it really is personal responsibility, and I do think there is a little bit of trouble with access to the information, and that's the problem, because when you have a lot of corporations kind of with vested interests in the media, and when you have lobbyists that are able to kind of get in the pockets of politicians, the access to information isn't as fair. So this is kind of not the point of this whole sugar thing, but if you get the money out of politics and kind of make sure that our media in some way at least has to say who they're owned and sponsored by, not stop saying anything, let the media say what they want, but make things a little bit more transparent. We'll have more informed people. So I think people are starting to be a little bit more aware, especially with the internet, although net neutrality went out the window. But I think
you're giving me
I just died. You just killed me. Are you happy?
We're talking about sugar. You gave me net neutrality, money out of politics.
But that's the thing. There's no simple answer to all this. And the reason why, after talking about it for a few minutes, I actually want to pass out or bang my head against the table.
You need some sugar, lady.
Is I know. I can get me a Diet Coke. Is that there's no way to talk about this without talking about all the different factors that contribute into it. You can't even have a conversation with, is sugar bad for you and should we drink it, without knowing everything surrounded by the sugar culture in this country and why it continues.
Yeah.